Fair enough.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the May 9th Special Council meeting to order. Grimsby is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandurunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. This regional municipality of Niagara, Grimsby, stands with all the Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the land on which we live. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Hearing none. Can I have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda? Okay, moved by Councillor Frank, seconded by Councillor Korstanji. All right. And all in favor? Carried. We have a presentation by our Chief Administrative Officer, Sarah Kim, and she'll now begin the staff presentation. Sarah, if you'll please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. We just have a presentation coming up. Okay, next. Okay, the agenda is in front of you for tonight. So for the history of West Lincoln Memorial Hospital, specifically the naming of the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. So why was it originally named West Lincoln Memorial Hospital? There is a deep history of our hospital with roots dating back to 1945. West Lincoln Memorial Hospital opened on Park Road with donors funding the hospital's construction. At the time the hospital opened, Grimsby was part of the Lincoln County, but since the creation of the Niagara region in 1970, the hospital is no longer located in the west end of Lincoln County. So to provide some additional key milestones of the hospital and the current status as of today, in 2014, West Lincoln Memorial Hospital officially joined Hamilton Health Sciences. And in October 2018, Hamilton Health Sciences submitted funding requests to the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care to conduct significant facility upgrades in the operating room to meet current patient safety standards. Same year, in November, Ontario Premier Doug Ford committed to rebuilding West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. The Premier also announced a planning grant and a grant for general infrastructure upgrades. In May of 2022, construction began on the new hospital. So today, West Lincoln Memorial Hospital is being rebuilt to accommodate the growing healthcare needs of West Niagara's communities. Public support of the new hospital has been overwhelmingly positive as local residents acknowledge this important endeavor and have demonstrated unwavering commitment to this redevelopment project. So the hospital is currently on track for completion in 2025. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yep. So the redevelopment of the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital facility makes for an opportune time to explore the idea of a name change if council chooses to. And as we are at a point in the construction where there are no additional costs involved with changing the name, as signage and wayfinding costs are already budgeted in the project's redevelopment plan. The hospital will be acquiring new signage both internally and externally, regardless of the naming decision. So in front of council tonight, there are two separate name options to keep it status quo at, with West Lincoln Memorial Hospital, or to vote in favor of changing the name to West Niagara Memorial Hospital. The name West Niagara Memorial Hospital was considered as an option as that accurately represents the broader communities that the hospital serves. Much thought has been given to keeping memorial as part of the hospital name, as the word retains part of its history. The word memorial was included in the original name of the hospital to pay homage to those who served in the two world wars at the time the hospital was founded in 1946. It was very important to retain this recognition. Next slide, please. So the Take It to the Finish campaign. The community of West Niagara has fought long and hard to ensure we were able to build this hospital. The Take It to the Finish campaign was the name of the fundraising campaign for the new hospital led by the West Lincoln Memorial Foundation. In November 2022, the campaign team announced that as a community, we have met the goal of the campaign and together achieved the 50 million local share to build and equip the new hospital. The local municipalities and regional government were able to provide an incredible level of support towards the local share. This support was an incredible testimony to what happens when a community strives together to achieve something good for the community. So with that, I do want to introduce Kevin Antonitis from the Hospital Foundation to speak further on this campaign.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Councillors. Good evening. Just to follow up on Sarah's overview of the campaign, Andrew Smith usually talks about it. He's the campaign chair for the Take It to the Finish. So the campaign was a combination, the 50 million was a combination of two campaigns, really. The earlier campaign back, I'm going to say a decade or more, those funds were raised and invested. So that comprised part of the 50 million. So it was about 10 million from that campaign. There was 32 million or so from a combination of 3 municipalities and the region of Niagara. And then the Take It to the Finish, the current campaign, which was successfully finished in November 2022, was the additional 7.5 million. So together, the 50 million was raised by a combination of our local donors, private donations, and so on, and the municipalities in the region. So kudos to the community for their great support, and it continues to come in to support the hospital. So thank you very much. I was going to say a few words, I don't know if it's now or later, about the current name request. If you'd like me to do that, or I can wait. Yeah, it's okay. So just a brief note on the current request for the name. The foundation is supportive of the proposed name change, West Niagara Memorial Hospital. We forwarded that request of support to HHS. The hospital board, the foundation board did receive the request from the three mayors and Chair Bradley to make that request last year. And our board, our foundation board, did vote unanimously to support the name change. We wish to support it because we feel that the region and the municipalities have demonstrated a significant amount of support through our journey to achieve a new hospital in West Niagara. The new name aims to better reflect the geography where the hospital is located and accurately represents the broader communities that the hospital serves. Including the words West Niagara follows precedent in naming other community infrastructure such as the West Niagara Secondary School. West Niagara will be more readily identified for residents and new visitors to the area. Keeping the name Memorial, as mentioned, provides homage to our hospital or historical past. There will also be a historical timeline in the new hospital in a very prominent area in the foyer. It will display the rich history of the hospital. And if I can also speak personally, I mean, I was at the vigil like many of us were. I voted or came out to show my support to save the hospital, not necessarily to save the name of the hospital. So I think it's important that we celebrate that we have a new hospital, and that's the important thing here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So to the next slide. So the next steps. The three municipalities have been managing their own public engagement and are holding their own special council meetings. Lincoln concluded theirs last night. We are doing it tonight. And West Lincoln is hosting their special council meeting on May 21st. Community outreach was an important component of this campaign, and this was completed through social media, information on our Let's Talk Grimsby page, along with a public survey. The results are being brought to each council, and each municipality will share their decision on the name of the hospital with Hamilton Health Science. Just as a background information, Town of Lincoln did conclude their meeting last night with a decision of 4-3 in favor of keeping the name as West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. So with that, I would like to introduce our communications specialist, Christina Davison, who will speak to the communication plan and the survey results.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. As part of the hospital renaming project, staff developed a communication plan to ensure that the community was aware of the proposed new name. As such, and as mentioned by Sarah, a dedicated page was created on Let's Talk Grimsby. This page was kept up to date with information for residents. It provided a channel for two-way communication as well. Residents were able to submit and ask questions through the website. The page also included frequently asked questions to help provide some history of the project. And a public survey was posted on Let's Talk Grimsby, which I will touch on in a future slide. As part of the public engagement efforts, town staff also coordinated a special council meeting as part of the project, which is why we're here this evening. And in addition to Let's Talk Grimsby, information about the hospital renaming project was shared through our town's brand-owned channels, specifically through Facebook and Instagram, and we updated information on the news page of our website, so that's on grimsby.ca. Next slide, please, Jess. As mentioned, a public survey was posted on Let's Talk Grimsby, and I did want to share a few more details about the survey before we review the results. The survey asked one question: are you in favor of changing the current name of West Lincoln Memorial Hospital to West Niagara Memorial Hospital? In addition to the survey being available digitally, hard copies were also available at Town Hall, and staff distributed paper copies to local senior homes in order to facilitate inclusive participation. The survey ran from April 24th to May 8th. Next slide, please. The survey results. We had a total survey responses were 1,687. Of the 1,687, those 1,599 were digital, so through the Let's Talk Grimsby page. We received 88 paper copies. Those results were also implemented as part of the total. We had 9 questions submitted on the Let's Talk Grimsby page. They were questions that were submitted and they were responded and publicly posted on the website for residents who were visiting to view the answers. Next slide. This is a breakdown of the total results. Of the 1,687 respondents, close to 83% are not in favor of changing the name, and 17% are in favor of changing the name to West Niagara Memorial Hospital. Next slide. On this slide, it's important to call out that of the 1,687 respondents, 1,280 were from Grimsby. It came from a Grimsby postal code. And I've included a detailed list of the towns and cities that participated in the survey. So they're seen on the slide in the blue and green box. Thank you.
So next slide, please. So the 2 recommendations are in front of you. We also have representatives from Hamilton Health Sciences and the Hospital Foundation to answer any questions. But I think we need to table the staff memo first, so I'll pass it over to the chair. Thank you.
Can I get a mover and seconder to get the staff memorandum on the floor, please? Moved by, yes, Councillor Charwas, sorry. Seconded by Councillor Howe. All right, so before we move to any questions and answers, I'd like to read a statement from the mayor, who was not able to be here tonight. So, sending my regrets that I'm not able to be in attendance tonight. When I campaigned for mayor in 2018, my foremost goal was to see a new hospital built. In October 2018, we, the West Niagara Mayor's community champion, Tony Josie, and the provincial government and countless dedicated volunteers worked tirelessly to achieve this goal. In early 2025, We'll have a completed state-of-the-art facility that we will all be proud of for decades to come. The name on the building has never been a priority. What is important to me is the staff and volunteers and the community who are the lifeblood of this hospital. They will make the hospital what it is today and what it will continue to be. I support the survey results as I recognize they are the voices of our passionate community. And that's from Mayor Jeff Jordan. So I'd like to open the floor to any questions. Councillor Sherwa?
Through you, Chair, thank you. So when we initially had this open, first of all, I want to thank the town for providing this opportunity for residents to give their feedback. I did prompt people and forward them to the Let's Talk Grimsby page so that they could have their opinion, whatever it was, and we would, take that into account. I did receive probably 100 or so people discussing an opinion. I would say 99% of them were in favor of the name, keeping the name the same. And watching part of Lincoln's meeting yesterday, it became quite apparent that it's the Grimsby residents that are really passionate about keeping the name the same. And as a councillor in Grimsby, my priority is to respect the wishes of our constituents, and it's definitely in their, what I gather is that is important to them, and I'm going to respect that, and so I will be voting in favor of keeping the name the same.
Councillor DeFlavio, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I was going to come here tonight and say I'm fine with either one because I didn't know the results of the survey. When the hospital was first named, there was no municipality of West Lincoln. So the one thing I do want to point out is that West Lincoln is actually a place now. When West Lincoln Memorial Hospital was named, there was no municipality called West Lincoln. It was referring to the entirety of West Lincoln, the former county of West Lincoln. Now there's a West Lincoln. And if the name of the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital was changed to West Niagara Memorial Hospital, I'm going to be honest with you, in the same way that I still call Smithville, Smithville, I would probably still call it West Lincoln Memorial Hospital because that's what it is to me. I don't think the name is as important as the building, and I think that there could be some confusion in the fact that the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital is not in the municipality of West Lincoln. So just out there as something for people to think about. There was no West Lincoln in 1946. And West Lincoln has existed longer than I have. It was 1970 that it was named West Lincoln, but I've always called it Smithville. I've never referred to that municipality as West Lincoln in my life. And, I'm doing it right now just to make a point, but the confusion over where West Lincoln Memorial Hospital is something that people might want to consider in the debate.
Thank you. Councillor Howe?
Thank you, Chair. I will be in favor of leaving the name the same, and if I can, this comes from a person that's been here for about 40 years, 4 boys who have had stitches, casts, numerous other things repaired down there. Both Judy and I have had surgeries down there. It's as much to me as anything geographically in here, that this is what I can kind of hang my hat on. And I think of and Kevin, you mentioned, being out there in the high school yard a lot of years ago. I think of the people that were there. I think of auxiliary and the people that have given almost entire lives to it. I think that if by changing, we're showing that it has something. It's like a motto when you went to school, our universities that have a motto and you're supposed to know that. They don't usually change that unless you went to Western and they rebranded. But it's something you can put your hands on. You can hold it, you can sense it, you can feel it. It's in your chest. That's where it is. We can, draw all the blood you want and say that can be fixed by anybody, any place. For me, and quite frankly, the people that have busted my eardrums, it's important to them. So I will be supporting leaving it at West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Thank you.
Councillor DeVoley.
Thank you. And thank you to our delegate for taking us back in time. As we've been preparing for this meeting tonight, I was thinking back to 1986 when I was elected to the board. And I was on that board for some 12, 13 years, both the hospital, the foundation. Deer Park Villa was owned by the hospital. And when I first joined the board, we had the ribbon cutting ceremony. So I spent a lot of time in that building, especially downstairs in the boardroom, ending my term as the chair and then the past chair. And even when I came on the board back in the 80s, we had a dire need for a new hospital. That was discussed every single year. And so you reminded us, of our first Save the Hospital campaigns, the rally at GSS and so on. And as my fellow councillor has said, we all have a history with this organization. From children born there, emergencies we went to, fundraising campaigns, many a golf tournament, gala nights that we held, and so on. The actual best memories, though, are those of working with our executive director at the time and with my fellow board members, many of whom are no longer with us. So I will say I was just a young whippersnapper then, and they were much older, and they have since passed on. And so even thinking about tonight, I thought, what would they want? And quite honestly, some of them would say, leave the name. It has a history, it has a meaning to us. And probably some of the younger ones would have said, we're okay with whatever it is. It's about the organization and the healthcare that we deliver. And that is the important part, that we finally have got to a new build, which is by far the most important step, and never mind the name. But names have a history. They say something to us. And even though it's called West Lincoln Memorial Hospital, it is physically located in Grimsby. So even if it continues to be that, and there is a township of West Lincoln, nevertheless, the name and the municipal organization or the municipal area that it belongs to have never been the same and since the 70s, and may not be the same even going forward. But truly, there is a history there, and I feel like I was a small part of it. And I could probably live with either, but I will say that there is a piece of my heart that will always be attached to West Lincoln Memorial Hospital.
Thank you, Councillor DeVoley. I think Councillor Barazzi had his hand up next.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. I think we all have personal attachments to this building and the facility and the services that it provides. Me, I'm going to say not so much the name, whether the name's West Lincoln Memorial Hospital or West Niagara Memorial Hospital. To me, it's always going to be known, and what I think it's more commonly known on casually as the Grimsby Hospital. I feel like even to share a story from the skate park when I was a kid, somebody fell, had to take an ambulance to the hospital, and they weren't from the area. And then when they asked where the ambulance had taken their son, I said, the Grimsby Hospital. A few hours later, ended up running into it, and she ended up having a whirlwind of confusion locating where the Grimsby Hospital was. This was before Grimsby and Google Maps. But I also, even talking with Mayor Cheryl Gannon, she also has heard stories of people moving to West Lincoln thinking that they would be close to the hospital. And it, as we know, it is not in West Lincoln. Construction of a new hospital does present the chance to make it make sense, should we want to. And I'm not saying that we should. But to be honest, my question is kind of for Hamilton Health Sciences. Should somebody come along and, let's say, raise $20-25 million, would that open up naming rights discussions for a private name anyway? And at the end of the day, the ultimate decision's kind of made at the foundation, right?
Is this on? Okay, great. Hi, I'm Aaron Levo, Vice President of People, Culture, and Communications at Hamilton Health Sciences. Happy to respond to the councillor's question through you, Chair. We do have a naming rights policy that's jointly approved by the Hamilton Health Sciences Board of Directors and the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital Foundation Board of Directors. That policy delineates the different amounts that would warrant different naming opportunities throughout the fleet of facilities that we have across HHS, including at West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. You can think of the entirety of the campus, the building, the rooms. Well, we try to maximize the opportunities for donorship. So, and I think the threshold for the facility is $20 million. So according to the ministry guidelines, the Ministry of Health helps hospitals by producing some high-level guidelines for you to follow with respect to donor naming policies. You can't give the name in perpetuity. It's time-bound, but could be decades. You have to have a policy in place, and you have to consider the different stratifications that are required for that. And I think aside from those guidelines, you also try to think about your local market and the relativity that you're in. So we've done that together. The two boards have approved the policy. I think in determining the request that the mayors have made and the decision in front of you tonight, it's distinct from philanthropy in that, yes, there was a substantive contribution made by the municipalities to the local share of financing, for which we're very, very grateful. It was a remarkable thing, quite unheard of, frankly, in our sector, to have the municipalities and the region partnering avidly ahead of the build. It's often something that hospitals have to try to incite, and it's very difficult. But here it was already well established and ready to rock. But that's an order of government partnering with another order of government to finance critical infrastructure for the people that we serve, and is distinct in terms of how our policy was made from philanthropy. But some parameters hopefully answers the councillor's question. Happy to respond to any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Levo. I think Councillor Frake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've heard several times already that it's not important that the name of the hospital, but yet here we are. We've got the whole of the region, and especially the three municipalities here, talking about it. But it's not important. But here we are trying to find the right name. So it is important. And I go back. You can't. I'm a traditionalist. You can't change history. The West Lincoln Memorial Hospital name has been written into every document, every history book, every news article, everything else that you look at in terms of since its inception. So it's called the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. I don't know why we're making such a huge effort to try and come up with another name. It does what it does. It is the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital has always been that way. So 50 years from now, people will still relate to West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. When they pick up a history book, they're going to read West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. So I think we're probably, making a tempest in a teapot here. I think that we should retain the name it is. It is the historical name. It was born that way, and I think we should keep it that way. Obviously, the constituents of Grimsby have spoken, and so far we all hear that the majority of people want to leave that name of that hospital exactly the way it is, and that's where I land on this thing. It's a historical site. It's a historical building. Why do we want to change it? It's like saying, well, let's change the name of the pyramids. Or let's change, the name of all these historical sites. Why do we want to do that? We're changing history when we do that. So I have a problem with that. It's always been this way, so I think we should continue to call it the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. And that's where I stand on this, and I go along with that particular thinking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Frake. Councillor Korstanji.
Thank you, through Chair. So I actually worked at the hospital for a good 15 years. And what some people might not know is that a lot of the staff that worked at the hospital donated money off their paychecks for years contributing to this hospital. And many staff members that maybe couldn't afford it at the time, but still donated. And that is in keeping with the history of the hospital and how the hospital was built time again over, of people working and donating pay and stuff like that. So the history of the hospital is certainly important. And the community itself is probably the biggest donor to the hospital, whether it's through our taxes, whether through our paychecks. So I think the community voice is 100% the priority in this decision. The other thing I just want to comment on is when we look at the Grimsby Historical Society website and stories of Grimsby's past, yes, the hospital was built for our gentlemen and women coming back from war, and the gentleman that donated the land for the hospital wanted it in honor of our men and women that fought in the First World War and the Second World War. And I believe it was a Smithville woman who lost her son in the war that was the one that proposed the name West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. So the name is important, and we can say there's nothing in a name, but there is. That history's there. Her son's history's there. Our community history's there. So I think our community has spoke loud and clear, and I'm in favor of keeping the name the same. Thank you.
Are there any other comments for round two? No? Then I'll just say that the first thing, I said for round two, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to make a question, but it was more so to the mayor. He's not here. I just kind of wanted to ask a bit about the decision initially from the three mayors, but I guess I'll just refrain from that for now.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Well, the first thing I want to do is acknowledge everyone who has contributed to getting us here to where we are today. I mean, the reality has been fought for so long. And as Councillor Cristangi said, people gave off their paychecks. Citizens made donations. The original hospital was on donated land. And I think also our community has spoken quite clearly about what they want to see. So I'll just say, like a fine wine, this hospital has a real provenance. And for that reason, I think you can all guess how I'm going to vote. So if we'll start with the voting?
Yeah, you can just go to option on your second page.
Okay.
Go to option 2.
Whoops, excuse me.
Just need a mover and seconder, and then you can read this.
Okay, so we'll go for option 2 to start. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Frake. Okay, do you want me to read the motion for you? Okay. Resolve that the staff memorandum regarding the hospital renaming be received and that council vote in favor of keeping the name West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Okay, so Councillor Frake has moved, seconded by Councillor Howe. All right, so all in favor? Do you want a recorded vote? Okay.
Just one second.
Okay. Can you vote for me?
Just call it.
Okay. Okay, recorded vote. Are you able to vote for me? I can't, I've died here.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll just read it out if that's okay,
Okay.
at this point. Okay, Councillor Frake.
Yes.
Councillor Howe.
Yes.
Councillor Councillor Devoli.
Yes.
Councillor Sharwa.
Yes.
Councillor Corstangi.
Yes.
Councillor Baradzi. Councillor DeFlavio.
Yes.
And Chair Vardy.
Yes,
That
So-
it passes.
so that's unanimous. So thank you very much, everyone.
I'm gonna move her and
That's
seconder
carried.
for the confirming bylaw.
Can I get a mover and seconder for the confirming bylaw? Councillor Frake and Councillor Devoli. Resolve that leave be given to introduce bylaw 2440 and that the same be read a first time, considered and passed. All in favor? Okay. Okay, so that's it. Good evening, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.